Hello, everyone, and welcome to 30 Minutes to Mermaid Pose. Mermaid pose is a very challenging variation of pigeon pose that requires a whole lot of back bend flexibility, particularly in the heart and also the quads. For me, mermaid pose is when you hook your back foot into your elbow, not to be confused with king pigeon or Raja Kopatasana, which involves flipping your grip and taking your arms overhead. I'm going to save king pigeon for another video. For today, we'll just focus on opening the heart, the shoulders, and the quadriceps. Now, a wonderful place to start is actually this kneeling position that I'm in right now. And this already might be a quad stretch for some of you, just getting the knees to bend this much. And if you want to give yourself an invigorating toe stretch, you can tuck your toes under and sit on your heels. If you've never done this before, it tends to get pretty excruciating pretty fast, but eventually, if you do this enough times, it just becomes as comfortable as if you were sitting. From here, take your hands to your heart and take a few deep breaths to find your center. And from here, interlace your fingers. Turn your palms to face you and drop your chin to the chest. Reach your hands forward, 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 reaching the backs of the hands as far forward as you can. And then turn the palms out. Reach the palms all the way up high to the sky, this time reaching the hands as far back as you can. And on your next exhale, release the hands. Take the hands behind you. Interlace your fingers. Draw your shoulders back. Lift your heart up. And continue to look up towards the sky. But reach your hands as far away from you as you can. Keep the core engaged. Keep the heart rising. Keep your gaze up. And continue to reach the hands back, back, back. And just feel what it's like to open your heart. And release the hands. Come forward. And if you've been on your heels this entire time, you can shake out your feet. And find yourself in a tabletop position. From this tabletop, inhale to extend your right leg out behind you. And exhale a knee to your nose. And do 5 of those. Inhale, right leg back. Exhale, knee to nose. Keep it going, uniting your movement with your breath. And then do one more inhale to extend. And from here, bend your right leg. Take your left arm forward, up and back. Find your back foot. Once you do find it, kick into your hand and lift the heart up. Feel the back bend here. And on your next exhale, come back to your tabletop. Round the spine. Drop your chin to your chest. And return to a neutral spine. Other side this time, take your left leg out behind you. And on your next exhale, take your knee to your nose. Inhale, left leg back. Exhale, knee to nose. And do a few more, really filling up the lungs on the inhale and emptying the lungs on the exhale. And one more inhale to extend the left leg out behind you. Keep the leg there. Take your right arm forward, up and back. Bend your left leg. Find the foot or the ankle. Once you do find it, kick into the hand. Let your right shoulder draw Open. Press into the left hand to lift the heart. And on your next exhale, come back to your tabletop. Round the spine, drop the chin to the chest. And return to a neutral spine. From here, extend your right leg out behind you like we've done, but then simply lower the right toes to the mat. And then press into the hands and reach the right heel back and see if you could find just a little calf stretch in your right leg. And then let your right heel come down, let your right arm come up for a little side plank variation. Then take your right arm forward and reach the right arm forward, forward, forward. Find a nice side body stretch. From here, take your right arm up, look down, and then take your left arm a little bit further out in front of you, so then you can shift your left shoulder over the left wrist, and your right leg will naturally come off the ground. From here, bend the right leg, grab the foot with your ankle, and once again, kick into your right hand and find the back bend here. You might take your left foot further behind you if you need that for balance. And wherever you are, release the right hand and return to your tabletop. Right hand finds the mat and right knee finds the mat. Let's do the other side. Left leg behind. Left toes find the mat. Press into the hands, reach your left heel back for a calf stretch. And then left heel down, left arm up. And reach your left arm forward, tilting left ribs up towards the sky. And left arm returns back up, looking down. Take your right hand further out, shift your right shoulder over your right wrist, and float your left leg off the ground. From here, bend the left leg, grab the foot, and then kick into the hand. Again, if you need that right foot behind you for a little bit more balance, feel free to use that modification. From here, all the way back to tabletop, round the spine. Come to your cat pose, chin to chest. And return to neutral spine here. Next, let's open the heart in melting heart pose. So come onto your fingertips and walk those fingertips out in front of you. Lower heart and head down to the mat. And from here, lift yourself back up. Shift your hips forward and come all the way onto your belly as any way that feels good for you. From here, take your elbows underneath your shoulders for a very brief Sphinx pose. Then take your left hand over to your right elbow and take your right hand behind you. And first, just find the quad stretch. So pull the heel as close as you can to your tailbone. And then find the opposite. So kick into your right hand. Let the right knee come off the ground. Let your right shoulder draw open to the right. And let's find that same thing on the other side. Switch the right forearm with your left forearm. Left hand comes behind. First, we just feel the quad stretch. And then we kick into the hand. Notice what changes in your body. And releasing the back foot, taking both hands underneath your shoulders and press back to a child's pose. Sitting back on your heels, arms outstretched in front of you. Return to your breath. From here, inhale forward to a tabletop. Tuck your toes and exhale the hips high to the sky for a downward facing dog. From this downward dog, walk your feet towards your hands, coming into the forward fold at the top of your mat. And once you are there, bend the knees, tuck the tailbone, roll up one vertebra at a time. When you get to the top, take your hands to your heart. Find your breath once again. So next I wanted to do 2 dancers poses, one on each side. And then we'll do some stretches, and then we'll see if we find any bit more mobility in those dancers poses. So from here, shift your weight to your left foot. Take your right foot behind you, grabbing the foot or the ankle. Then take your left arm up. From here, kick into your right foot and start to tip forward. Keeping your eyes fixed on a point that is in front of you, and tip as far forward as feels good for you today. And slowly come on up. Take your hands back to your heart. Switching sides here, left foot comes behind, grabbing the foot or the ankle, taking your right arm up, and tipping forward. And slowly come back up. Return hands to your heart. Return 2 feet to the mat and feel a sense of stability on your 2 feet. All right, let's see what we can continue to open up today. Inhale, the arms forward and up. Exhale, the hands behind you, interlace your fingers, draw the shoulders back. Inhale, lift the heart up. This time, fold forward, 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 forward. Keep a micro bend in your knees to really make sure the low back can release. And then reach the hands away from you, opening the shoulders. From here, release your hands to the mat. Take your right foot to the back of your mat. Let your right knee drop and take both hands to your left thigh. And first, just find that kind of hip flexor stretch as you press yourself forward like you want your tailbone to touch your front heel. From here, take your hands to the mat and straighten over your front leg, dropping your hips back. And rather than just coming to a half Hanuman, come all the way back on to your back foot here, and then fold forward from there. And next, let's deepen the stretch in a high lunge. So coming back up, plant your left foot, take both hands to your left knee, press yourself forward until you feel that stretch in your inner thighs. But then tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee off of the ground, and fire up the front quad as you take your arms up for a nice high lunge. Try not to come forward too much in the torso, but keep shoulders over your hips. From here, hands to the mat, step forward into your forward fold. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Left leg to the back of your mat, left knee drops, both hands come to your right thigh, and press yourself forward. And breathe into whatever glorious sensations are passing through your body right now. From here, folding forward, hands frame your front foot, drop your hips back, and come all the way onto your back heel, folding forward. You got this. Deep breaths. From here, coming forward once again, planting your right foot, bending right knee over your ankle, taking both hands to your right thigh, sinking deeper, and this time tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee off of the ground, and then take your arms up high to the sky. From here, take your hands to the mat and step back to a plank pose. So in plank pose, body's in one line. Keep the body in one line as you take a slow 5-count chaturanga, coming down to your belly for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Once you're on the ground, give yourself 3 cobra poses. So inhale, really lift the heart up. Exhale down. 2 more. Feel those back muscles working. 1 more. Really open the heart. And press up, tabletop. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog. From this downward dog, take your right leg high to the sky. Bend your right leg, roll the right hip open, stacking the right hip on top of the left. Look underneath your left armpit towards that right foot, floating there in space. From here, inhale, straighten your right leg high to the sky. And exhale, right foot finds the mat. Same thing, other side, left leg high to the sky. Bend the left leg, roll the left hip open, take the knee as high as you can to the sky. Look underneath your right armpit this time towards your floating foot. From here, inhale, straighten left leg. And exhale, left foot finds the mat. Bend the knees, looking forward. Step or jump or float to the top of your mat. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, fold. Engage the core to protect your back. And inhale the arms out and up. And exhale, hands to your heart. Take a few deep breaths. All right, continuing to build on everything that we've done. Inhale, arms forward and up. Exhale, forward fold. From here, take your left foot to the back of your mat. And bend your right knee over your ankle, but keep the back thigh lifted. And see if you could really sink the tailbone low, but really engage the back leg here. See if you could find that same inner thigh stretch that we have been exploring. From here, plant your left palm on the ground and take your right arm up towards the sky, looking up at your right fingertips. From here, drop your back knee to the mat. Reach your right hand behind you. Find your back foot. Once you do find it, rather than open up to the right like we usually do, I want you to come forward. So actually, draw your right shoulder forward so your shoulders are square to the front of the mat. You can let your right knee splay out if that makes it easier for you. And you might stay here, or if this feels good, you might even come further into the pose by dropping onto your left elbow. All right, from here, take both hands to the top of the mat, bring your right knee in, and take a super big step forward into the forward fold at the top of your mat. And let's do the other side. Right leg to the back of the mat. Left knee bends over left ankle. Once again, continue to sink the hips low as you reach your right heel back. right thigh to the sky. From here, plant your right hand and take the left arm up, looking up at your left fingertips. From here, drop the back knee, take your left arm back, and bend the back leg, find the foot. Once you do find it, rather than open up to the right, come forward. Bring left shoulder forward. Maybe the left knee splays out. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you can drop on to your right elbow for a much deeper quad stretch. All right, from here, both hands top of the mat. Once again, step back to your plank pose and lower down to your belly. From here, we'll stay in cobra pose. So press into the hands and lift the heart up for cobra. So in this cobra, I want you to keep a bend in your elbows, so that way the shoulders stay nice and supple, and get the shoulders away from the ears, drawing the shoulders back. With the elbows bent, when you really lift the shoulders forward, it'll also bring your heart forward. So rather than just lock out the arms, we keep the elbows in and back, which makes for a much better experience in our cobra pose. From here, lower down, press back, child's pose. Feel the low back release and return back to your breath. From here, come forward to a tabletop. Tuck your toes and take your hips high to the sky. Downward facing dog. From this downward dog, take your left leg high. Bend your left leg, roll the left hip open like we've done before. Now this time, I challenge you to grab that floating foot with your right hand. So if you've never done this before, come onto your right fingertips and maybe just walk the right fingertips about halfway towards your back foot. And you might stay there and just dabble with floating the right hand off the mat. But eventually, you can actually take the right arm up and find the foot. So very challenging balance here. Try the other side. Left foot finds the mat, right hand finds the mat, right leg high, right leg bends, right hip rolls open. And then once again, can your left hand reach up to find that floating foot? Maybe you're on the left fingertips, dabbling. Maybe left hand reaches up and finds it. And wherever you are, right foot finds the mat, left hand finds the mat. Nice job, yogis. Step or jump or float to the top of your mat. Come to a flat back. Come to a forward fold. And inhale, arms forward and up. And exhale, hands to heart. So let's see if any of those stretches helped our dancer's pose at all. And I'll challenge you also in this dancer's pose to maybe hook your foot into your elbow rather than just grab the foot. But we'll see. Okay? So shift your weight to your left foot. Option 1, grab your foot. Option 2, reach in the inside of the foot until you can hook the foot into your elbow. And you don't have to interlace your fingers if you don't want to. So you can still have your left arm come forward and come into a dancer's pose like this. Or you might be able to take your left arm up. So whatever variation you're in, it's fine with me, as long as we see a little improvement than before. That's all we're looking for. We're like trees, just growing day by day. Eventually, we reach amazing heights. And slowly come back up. 2 feet to the mat, hands return to your heart. Let's do the other side. Shift the weight to your right foot. Left foot comes behind. Option 1, grab the foot or the ankle. Option 2, find your foot hooked into your elbow. Option 1, tip forward. Option 2, interlace your fingers. And wherever you are, slowly come back up. 2 feet to the mat, hands to your heart. Okay, so let's do one more stretch before we have a go at our mermaid pose. From here, inhale, arms up. And exhale, forward fold. Take your right foot back and bend left knee over ankle, right knee finds the mat. Both hands to your left thigh. So our next challenge is going to be to grab that back foot. So you might find just by reaching back with your right hand, holy cow, that's already a very deep stretch that you're beginning to feel. If you want to go deeper, hand can reach the inside and you can hook your foot into your elbow. You might stay here, but if it's available, maybe the left arm comes up and we can interlace our fingers. From here, hands to the top of your mat and sit all the way back on your back heel. It's just a really nice restorative pose to allow the hip flexors to release and relax. And coming forward, let's switch sides. Step forward with your right and step back with your left. Left knee finds the mat, both hands to your right thigh. So wherever you're at today is exactly where you are supposed to be. No pressure. Listen to your body. You could even stay here if you want. Or if it's available, find the back foot, pull it in. You might stay there. Maybe you can hook the foot into your elbow. Maybe you stay there. Maybe you can come into this variation. And wherever you are, take both hands to the top of your mat. Drop the hips all the way back until you're on your back heel. And coming back forward, hands top of your mat, step back to a downward facing dog. And let both knees find your mat. And there's one final thing we need to explore in our bodies before our mermaid pose, which is being in the position in our legs without being on our hands. So it's pretty challenging if you've never done it before, if you're just used to folding forward in a pigeon pose. So I'll show it real quick. From downward dog, we're going to bring our right knee to the right wrist and ankle to the left. And then rather than collapse in your inner thighs, you have to keep the inner thighs engaged. And then the challenge is, can we just lift our hands off of the ground? Can we find this balance? It's going to be crucial for mermaid pose. So let's try that. I just did it in my right, so let's do it in the left. So bring the left knee forward. Come into your kind of pigeon legs. Front shin can be at 45 degrees. And then play with it. Can you walk your fingertips back? Find that inner thigh engagement that brings pelvis a little bit up and off of the ground. And can you find this balance? And other side. Step back with the left and step forward with the right. Engaging inner thighs, not sinking and collapsing. Walking the hands back. Maybe you're on your hands, maybe you're on your fingertips. Maybe both hands can come off of the ground. And both hands top of the mat, step back to downward facing dog.
All right, so let's try the whole pose now. Take your left knee to your left wrist, ankle towards your right. Walk your hands back. Now you can keep your left hand on the ground or your left thigh when you reach your right arm back to kind of play with where your quad flexibility is and how close you can bring the heel in. Eventually, maybe today we're just pulling the heel in. Maybe we're finding the balance, or maybe we can hook the foot all the way into our elbow. Maybe we still need that left hand for balance. That's okay too. Or maybe the left arm can come up and interlace with the right. Other side. Downward facing dog. Try the other side. Right knee, right wrist. Engage the inner thighs. Walk the hands back. Option 1, stay here. Option 2, right hand stays for balance. Left hand comes behind. Option 3, hook the elbow. Option 4, bring the right hand up. And both hands top of the mat. Step back to downward facing dog. And let your knees find your mat. Sit back on your heels. Find your hands at your heart. And take a few deep breaths. Okay. So that's it for this week's video. I hope you discovered what you need to find in your body in order to get to a mermaid pose. It's one of my favorite poses. I love any pose that opens up the heart so we can tune in to the love and light that is inside of us. If you want to learn more about me, you can head to zachbeach.com. And thank you for being here, and thank you for being you. Namaste.